How about having a look at it?
That's at the end.
Oh, at the end?
At the end.
Wait that long.
Okay, now wait. Now
Good things I was waiting for.
time out. Everybody know what this means? This is a serious talk.
Yeah, right. The next play will be a touchdown. Go ahead.
And I would sincerely appreciate it if, in order to get through the 11 pages, it's not very much. And you can time me. I tried it in the car on the way to the airport. It's only 10 minutes. And it's a serious talk. And you can laugh and make jokes.
Don't worry, we will.
And I want to start off the talk by saying that in Minneapolis, the Lubavitchers have this thing. And they call it. They call it the Shelley. They call it study a little Torah, salt. And you call up on the phone, you dial salt, and you get a salt talk. And
About 1 or 2.
really going to turn into a pillar of salt.
This is all-out war. You put salt on my mother's best friend's cake. I don't care if you put salt in my hair, or salt on my arm, or salt on Michelle's shirt. But salt on my mother's best friend's cake.
He's dead mean.
You're dead mean. I am not responsible for my actions.
I'm just going to move over here a little bit.
My mother just painted the walls. Forget it.
All those of you who believe this will take 10 minutes. Raise your right hand.
Who's timing it? I gotta stop it. Alright.
This is not the way I expected it to go.
If you didn't go like this on the way to the airport, I know because I wasn't in the cab with you, right?
Okay. So,
Hey, my gray hair's falling out. Oh, go ahead.
say,
Sandy can't get serious. I'll read this part.
Anyway, a friend of mine, my friend Leon in Minneapolis, always says that when there are a bunch of Jews together, they should study a little Torah.
That's right.
That's right. It's a big mitzvah. So
That was assault.
that's all. So tonight, I decided to study a little Torah with everyone, if you'll beg my indulgence. And
Please give us your note.
I will give it to you. Here it is.
You're never going to see this again as long as you
I know exactly how much.
That's all he got for his life.
Where are matches?
Okay.
Counterfeit.
Tonight, my little talk talks about the idea
A minute, 10 seconds.
of killing your youngest brother. There's many biblical
Is
stories.
that where blood came from?
No, y'all got killed, Sandy, remember?
What I want to talk about is the idea of searching, of going out somewhere to look for oneself, for finding significant others, and finding relationships. About a month or so ago, we started reading the Parsha Lech Lecha, which, as you all might remember, is really the first mention of the Jews in the Chumash. And it starts off Lech Lecha li'artzecha. You should go out. Right, you should go out from your country, from your relatives, from your father's house, into the land that I show you. And if you think about that a little bit, without any comment, that's really kind of the reverse order which we usually do things. And when I was thinking about that over the last 6 weeks, every Shabbos and Shul, my thoughts really have been focusing on Shelley and seeing him again and being together with everyone. And I thought about, that's kind of what Shelley did. He went out and he went to Israel. And we have to ask ourselves this question, why is it that God told Abraham to go out? What was the big thing? Well, the thing was he was going to be the first Jew. And he told him the first mitzvah. And the first mitzvah, it says to be a blessing, okay? It says, they gave bracha, to be a blessing. It doesn't say you're going to get a blessing, okay? It says to be a blessing. And that's a big difference there between what Judaism is about and other ideas. Because really, it's like, what God is saying, what the thing is that you be a blessing, and by being a blessing to other people, that's the blessing that they're going to get. And God gets nachas from that. Okay? And it also teaches us, really, that the whole essence of Judaism is that we get redemption from our deeds, our actions, what we do, rather than just on faith. And so that's sort of like the framework, the prototype of the first Jew, a person who becomes a blessing, a person who does mitzvahs. Next in this journey, in all this, we come to, later on, we come to Parsha Chayasora, the Lysosora. And in this Parsha is what I like to call the first Shidduch. And what happens is there's more going out. There's more of this leftover business. There's more of this searching around. Abraham tells his servant, his mensch, you know, Eliezer. Thank you very much. I had the Talmud Chacham, so I don't have to worry. To go back to the original place where Abraham came to get a wife for Yitzchak. And I thought about this, and I thought a lot about how Shelley left his kibbutz, and about how he went to Jerusalem. And even though he didn't place his hand on Abraham's thigh to give him a bless, to make an oath, he had 4 criteria. This is the criteria he had for a wife. So she had to be an American, she had to be religious, she had to want to come to live in Eretz Yisrael, and she had to be a deadhead. And for those who don't know Shelley,
You gotta be a Jew. You said religious, you didn't say Jew.
well, I think one sort of goes with the other.
And also, she had to be a sportsman, don't forget that.
There was an extra dividend, wasn't in the contract.
Fringe benefit, no
I agree. What's a deadhead? My sister wants to know what a
A
deadhead
deadhead is a person who likes the Grateful Dead, for those who don't know. My brother's still living in the music
That's
of
the music group.
music group.
Like, call that music.
Grateful.
Yeah.
Now,
Old-fashioned, mother.
I know.
in this story continues that Abraham
Also was a deadhead.
was a deadhead, and he wanted a wife for Yitzchak who wasn't from the daughters of from the land of Canaan. And a lot of people may or may not notice, but Shelley's middle name is Isaac, which you see Yitzchak in Hebrew. And I thought about this because this parsha talks about the relationship between Rivka and Yitzchak. And I like to think of it, if we like to think of Abraham and Sarah as the prototype of the first Jews, then we think of Rivka and Yitzchak as the prototype of the first Jewish couple, the first Shidduch. And what happened? What did each of these people in this prototypical relationship do? The first thing is when Rivka came back, she saw Yitzchak in his tent, dwelling in his tent, meditating. And she, right, he was meditating.
That baby daddy.
And what do we learn from this? Well, we learn from this is that if we reflect back on what it says in the Parsha, that Yitzchak was a thinker, a Talmud Chacham, as opposed to he thought. And the idea is that Rivka saw Yitzchak for who he was. She had no illusions. She saw his neshama. She saw his essence right there. And when I think about what it might have been like for Michelle when she first met Shelley, that I think that she saw his neshama and she saw his essence. And that's why she loved him. Just like Rivka.
She hated me the first time she saw me.
She wanted you to think that you were hard to get.
He's telling the story.
Right.
Okay, and then what does our prototypical Shelley/Yitzchak do? Okay, it says Vayitak, he took her, then he married her,
And
then he loved her.
Right.
And how much different that is from relationships today, where first we love, then we marry, and then we take.
Maybe.
Yeah, and I thought a lot about that, and you can make out of it from what you want, but I got a lot of nachas out of thinking about that relationship between Rivka and Yitzchak, and that between Shelley and Michelle.
All right, that's a good part too.
Wait, I'm not done.
It's rolling.
I should also say at this time that a lot of this isn't original, that a lot of this comes from thoughts
You don't have to tell
It's
us.
all right.
from my rabbis in Minneapolis. The next parsha
It
that we
shows
come
you were listening to them.
thinking.
Aaron? I would like all his parishioners to listen to.
Parishioners?
Yes, if he calls them.
I don't know, I like it when they don't remember.
Gonna get next year.
Yeah, right.
The next thing that we come to is the Parsha of Toldo, the generations of Yitzchak. And this is, again, this theme of there's more going out in here, there's more searching around. And briefly, it's also the story about how Yaakov, Yitzchak's son, cheated Esau out of his birthright. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that later. But what I want to... I'm sorry, your 10 minutes is now... Let me leave. At the end of the Parsha, really, when Yitzchak gives the bracha to Yaakov, and he thinks it's Esau, he gives him the same thing that Abraham told Eliezer. He says to go out to his uncle Laban, and again, he shouldn't take a wife from the Canaanites. And again, this is this whole idea of going out from where you are to find the soulmate. Okay? And that seems to be recurrent there. And that seems to be a big thing. The next parsha we come to is by Yates, which is Yaakov went out. And where did he go? He went somewhere, and he was on his way to Laban's, and he stopped somewhere. And he had a dream about the ladder and the angels. And that dream is very rich in symbolism, and that's really not what I want to talk about. We all hear lots of stories about that. But the one I like, and I think someone was mentioning about it before, the symbolism for me there is that the Jews have their feet firmly on the ground and their heads in Shemayim in heaven. And as my mother likes to say, maybe we're Luftmenschen a little bit. And now I'm going to interject a little story here about the idea of what a Luftmensch is.
The American expression is spaced out.
I told you last week a Luftmensch is a mensch that flies an airplane.
So when Mom first told me, she says, "Oh, Sandy, Michelle, and Shelley, they're going to get married." And when Michelle's father asks, "Well, what does this guy do? What does he do in Israel?" And Ma says, "Well, what Michelle would say is, where did Gloria go?"
That's not what Michelle
She would say, "Oh, well, he was in Israel, he was on kibbutz, he worked here, he's kind of a Luftmensch." And I didn't think much about that conversation. Then a couple of days later, I was thinking about something. I saw some beautiful pictures of people on a kibbutz in Israel. And I called her up the next day. I said, "Mom," I says, "Shelley's not a Luftmensch. What Shelley is doing is he's our surrogate. He's living in Eretz Israel, where all Jews should be, living the good life there, and doing what we should be doing as Jews. So really, he's not a Luftmensch." And when I talked to Michelle for the first time on the phone and told her that story, she says, "Oh, good, you should come here and tell my mother that."
Shelley's doing a mitzvah for all of us.
But really, what I want to talk about is
Cost y'all.
something really special about that story about Yaakov and his dream. And that is, there's a real deeper meaning there. And the deeper meaning has to come from the Hebrew word hamakom, the place. Now, in that first sentence where it says where Yaakov came, it says 3 different times it says the place. It says Yaakov lighted upon the place, he took the stones of the place, and he lay down in that place. And I mean, there's tons of midrash about all that, what the place is, about this Mount Moriah, which is the place where the Akedah, which was the binding of Isaac, took place, which we read on the second day of Rosh Hashanah. And other people said it was where the Beit HaMikdash was, and this and that. But this was my thought about Hamakom. To me, the place, Hamakom, was this house. And really, the ladder that Jacob climbed symbolized what we all do from this house, from this place. This is our root. This is our anchor. This is our firm ground from which we climb the ladder, starting at the bottom rung to new places.
His mother called it Grand Central Station.
To new heights,
To new page.
places, to a new page, so that we can find a new hamakom, a new place. And I think that's real important to think about, and that seems to be a real tender thing for me here. And I'm thinking about that parsha, and I'm thinking about all of us being together again, and thinking about how really that this is hamakom, this is the place where we all started out from. And Shelley went to Israel, and I went to Alaska and Washington and Minnesota and all those places, and Michelle's in Indianapolis, and Fred's in DC, and now pretty soon he's going to be going to Houston. It's sort of like the sentence in the Parsha says, like the song, where the song comes from, Uparatza. You should spread out, Yama, Bakema, Sofana, Negma. West, east, north, and south. And I really thought about a lot about that, and I thought that that was some good Torah to think about. But like Yaakov, we all come back from our dreams, from our journeys of self-searching to this place. And we come back, and like what Yaakov said, when he woke up, he said, how full of awe is this place? This is the gate of heaven. And to be together again in this place and to share our visions, our dreams, and to prepare for more dreams and more journeys. And also to be with each other and to touch each other in our spirits, as Hashem promised in Yaakov in that dream, that he would be with Yaakov. And then finally, Yaakov leaves that place to go to Lavan. And we all know this story. This is the story about how Yaakov met Rachel, and how he fell in love with her, and how he wanted her as his wife, and how Lavan, who personifies evil in many, many ways, cheated him. First, Yaakov had to work for 7 years, and then he said, no, you can't have Rachel. I'm going to give you Leah, the older sister. And he had to work another 7 years for her. And so finally he worked another 7 years and he got Rachel, and then he had to work another 6 years for the flock. 20 years total. And I guess when I was thinking about that parsha, when I was thinking about that business, I kept thinking about how Shelley kept going back to Israel. First to Baal Yahu, and back and forth and back. I lost count. It was like Yaakov working 20 years. He paid his dues. And I think Shelley, like everyone who goes with these journeys, was struggling with all the Lavans of the world who would cheat us out of what we love. And I think also perhaps he was struggling, as we all do, with the Lavans inside of ourselves, the parts inside of ourselves that isn't always honest with ourselves, and how hard it is to listen to our own inner voice, our own neshama. And then finally Shelley returned for the last time, and he leaves the kibbutz and goes to Yerushalayim and meets Michelle, who had also journeyed, who had gone out from her country, from her relatives, from the house of her father, to Eretz Yisrael, to the land, and who I'm sure has had many journeys of her own, and who has confronted many Lavans. And then she met Shelley, like Rivka met Isaac. And finally, I come to the parsha this week, Vayishlach, Yaakov. Yaakov sent a messenger. And this is the story about how finally Yaakov left Lavan, and he returned again, back to the place where he was born. And God told him to do that. And what does he do? He sent out messengers to Esau, his brother. And I said I was going to talk about this again. And this is where it comes in again. And what he wanted to do with these messengers, and what he wanted to do was restore their kinship. And in a way, that's what we're doing here. To meet again, to renew and revitalize, and regain the distance and time between us all. In a way, also, we do tshuva. Because if you think about the idea of tshuva, you know that it has two meanings. It has both the meaning of repentance, and it also means to return. And lots of times when we think about the idea of tshuva on Yom Kippur, we do tshuva because we're trying to return an aberrant soul to a path of gemilas chasadim, acts of loving kindness. So what I want to do then is backtrack a little to the story I was talking about with Yaakov and Esau, the original conflict they had that precipitated him sending out the messengers and having this meeting with them. And back when we read that parsha at Shul, at our little weekly Torah study, I was troubled. I was very troubled. And in our Sikha, our study group, I said, what's going on here? I said, there's a lot on my mind lately. about brothers. I'm going to go to Chicago and see my brothers who I haven't seen, one for 5 years, one for a couple of years. And I'm reading all these parshas, and there's all these role models like Abraham and Sarah, Rivka and Yitzchak, all this. What's this Mishigas with all these brothers? There's a source for them all. First Cain kills Abel, then all this stuff with Ishmael and Yitzchak, and the separation there. And then finally now we read about Yaakov and Esau, about how they cheated him, and all this stuff there. And I guess I was thinking about the three Wolgel boys being back together again, and I was thinking, so where's the role models? Do I have to wait for Moshe Rabbeinu for a good Jewish man? And people at the Sikha said, well, the first answer was, well, you'll have to wait like the rest of us. And the other thing that people said were that lots of times role models in the Torah are theirs to know not what to do. But I think the strongest thing to come out of that study group was the idea that the Torah is not literal. The message is that conflict always brings redemption. And I thought a lot about that, and I think that's true. And I think that's true about my brothers and I, and about people in general. We always have to have conflict for redemption. And when we think about what happened when in this parsha in Vayishlach, about when the brothers Yaakov and Esau got together again, Yaakov was very scared. He was afraid. It says he was afraid. And he thought that there was going to be a war again with his brother. And he had this dream about wrestling with angels. Now, I'm not going to reflect on the symbolism of Yaakov wrestling with angels and the three Wolgel boys. I think that's obvious. So
We're all angels.
We're all angels. We did enough wrestling anyway.
I think the important thing is, again, that there's this redemption. What happens is when Yaakov and Esau come together again, they embrace, they kiss, and they weep. And much as we've done here today in getting together. And basically, as with Yaakov and Esau, this has been a time of renewal, not of rivalry, and a time of comfort, not confrontation. And finally, I'd like to end. And I'd like to say this in closing. That last week in the Parsha, we read about the birth of all 11 of Yaakov's sons, out of 12, except for one. And that happens this week. And this week, in this week's Parsha, Benjamin, the youngest son, is born. And as I thought about that, that really kind of filled me with a lot of tenderness and a nice feeling, because I thought the Shabbos that I'm first together with my youngest brother again, we read the Parsha of the birth of the youngest son of Yaakov and the 12 tribes of Israel. And that's really what I want to say. And to Shelley, I would like to say a mazel tov. And I would like, on behalf of myself, I would like to say Baruch haba. And actually, as I thought about it, I said Baruch haba hamakom. Blessed is the person that comes into this place, again, hamakom. And I feel a little bit like, I think the term is shaliach sipur. Is that it? Sipur? Like a messenger from people in Minneapolis. Mahatan, the Garbers, who also personally asked me to wish you a mazel tov, and they said, how long has your mother been cooking for this? And I would also, on behalf of Joe Ryan, ask me to do one thing. He asked me to say a bracha, and the bracha is, and you can all join me, it's a shechiyanu. All the people in this room, Baruch Hashem, being together for the first time in I don't know how many years. So, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shechiyanu, v'kiyamanu, v'hiyanu, l'azman hazeh.
Amen. Don't forget nothing though before you drink.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hakah.
Amen.
Now, just one more thing. I would just like to say l'chaim, Shali, l'chaim and Michelle, l'chaim tovim. A life of goodness, a chaim bracha, a life of blessing, a chaim parnasa, like it means finish, a life of parnasa. And that's really all I want to say. And then I'd just like to say, Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov, Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov, Yeh Lanu, Yeh Lanu,
Your salt.
Yeah, hold out your hand, man.
That's not even salt two, that's salt
That's
one.
all one.
You know, Sandy, you're one professional that can practice without a license. You can be a rabbi without a license.
I wonder if I could also have your attention.
All right.
First of all, Sandy, I'd really like to thank you. That was very inspiring, and I really appreciated what you drew upon. And I also think, since it's Thanksgiving, if we can all, drawing upon what Sandy said about a few things. One is the idea of place, of where we are. And when he drew on the idea of place, he brought the idea of the physical place, how from this house, people have gone out to Alaska, to Israel. And as you said that, Sandy, I was thinking about our grandparents, about Bubby and Zadie, and how they came to the United States from Europe. And through that act, enabled us to be mobile. In their generation, people did not have that mobility, and now the world is changing, and we have this mobility to go where, if we're fortunate, where we choose to go. The world is getting smaller, and drawing on the idea of place, and being that it's Thanksgiving, I'm asking each soul here to think about peace and set our thoughts towards peace, because the reality of man is his thoughts. And I'm asking each soul here to just, if we can set our thoughts towards peace and carry that with us and try to carry out our deeds, let our deeds, not our words, be our adorning. Let that be our focus on this day of Thanksgiving. And for those many people that aren't fortunate enough to be gathered in love, and gathered in spiritual love and material love, or have food, I'd just like us all to take this day and try to carry this love with us wherever we go. And also, I would just like to say how much it means to me to be with all of you. This is just heartwarming, and it's true, as we get older, it means more. And also, I'd like to congratulate you and wish you the best of luck, the best of health and fortune and spirit and beautiful life.
Wonderful.
Yeah, you're limited to 10 minutes.
He can have the extra 10 from mine.
Well,
You didn't miss anything, man.
I want to
Our
tell you,
custom is
first
about
of all,
public
yeah,
speaking.
you're right. First of all, I was very deeply moved by Sandy as well as by Nan, bringing out these spiritual messages, but I didn't know it was really in Sandy to do this because I knew him always as a rather on the frivolous
Wild and crazy
on
guy.
the frivolous side. And I'm glad to see of the influence, whether it's Lubavitch, whether it's
Yossi.
whatever it is. And when I see a good influence
Really
there,
wise.
that you're referring to the Torah and the Sedra. We have a lot to be thankful for on this Thanksgiving evening, because all of us actually, by being together, that in itself is something to be grateful for. And in our prayers we thank the Lord every day, morning, evening, and night, for the very existence that we have and for the ability to meet with our friends. So this is a real thanksgiving that we offer to the Rebbeinu Shalom, to God. In his talk of these various sedras and these portions, I want to just inject where he left off. And that is the wrestling match between Jacob and his enemy, who was a representative of Esau. And in the course of the wrestle, Jacob actually was physically harmed. He had a dislocated thigh. Nevertheless, the angel that wrestled with him said, "You were able to overcome." And there we find the origin of the word and the name Israel. And for the first time, we find the word Yisrael.
Elizabeth, Becky, Kara's friend.
Come on in, come on in. Now this couple that we are greeting tonight for meeting for the first time as far as I'm concerned, this Michelle and Shelley, I understand that your meeting was in Israel. And the word Israel is composed of two elements. The angel said to him, "Ki soriso melokim anoshim v'tuchol," that you were able to wrestle or to have a confrontation with a messenger of God and with people, and you overcome. Now, what is this referring to? That the word Yaakov, Jacob, has in it certain negative elements. Yaakov also means to be slightly sly, crooked, not straightforward. Yisrael comes from Yashar, Yashar Keil, straight to God. And the angel said, your name shall no longer be Yaakov, it should be Yisrael. And Yisrael means that every human being has confrontations in life. First of all, the confrontations on the physical level and problems on the spiritual level. Every person has doubts, has problems, has certain confrontations in his mind, and Jacob undoubtedly had the struggle, inner struggle. Actually, this represents an inner explosion of the feelings and the senses that are found in the human being, for he's the prototype of our people. And in this struggle, a person must learn first to overcome in his relationships with his fellow man, and in his relationship with his mind, of getting his mind concentrated on God and lofty thoughts on such subjects as peace that was mentioned, on love. And in this way, we can overcome on all fronts. And immediately after this wrestling match, the Bible tells us, Vayovo Yaakov Sholem Ir Shechem. And Jacob came a whole person in the city of Shechem. That means that despite his confrontation, And in spite of the fact that he dislocated his thigh, the Chazal say, Sholem begufo, his body was already healed, and Sholem betorosoi, his spiritual learning was complete, and Sholem b'mamonoi, and his material things were all there, so that he came out as a whole person, an integrated person. I like to think this about a young couple about to be married, that you have to become integrated. You have to become integrated in many things on the physical level, but especially on the spiritual level, so that eventually husband and wife become as one. And this is the great goal, that you should be able to overcome your struggle, and life has struggles. And we cannot deny that. But these struggles can be overcome with proper attitude, with proper dimensions, and they have to be spiritual in nature. And therefore, your meeting in Israel, your motto should be like Yisroel, that you can overcome your confrontation with human beings as well as with your spiritual struggle that you may have in the future. May God give you health and strength and eternal love and peace in a world of peace. Amen.
Amen. Amen. And I want to congratulate you, Sandy, first, and then, of course, the couple, because to them your words were directed. And let us trust Shelley and Michelle that you will always be as happy as you seem now. I hope it's not just an act. And that we will all derive the kind of joy that we are anticipating in your forthcoming union. A hearty mazel tov. And to you, Edith, good health and nachas. Joe, good health and nachas. And all of them. And you know what's interesting? It starts with the youngest. They may catch on. Boys.
Got no respect for his elders.
So I'm not. And she says amen.
Amen.
I'm standing because I can't sit anymore.
How many people here have already loosened up a notch on their belt of their pants? Raise your hand.
If there's anybody who can walk away from the table,
I'll give them $1,000.
my mother considers it a loss. And if there's anybody who hasn't spoken yet,
You haven't spoken.
Speak now.
And there's anyone who's still hungry.
Uncle Yuppie, you got anything to say?
Yeah, right, yeah.
I didn't prepare a treatise.
Show us your athlete baby's attack on the table. Come on.
No. I'll wait for
I
the
did.
Shelley, we
Yeah.
want to hear from you.
From me.
Yeah.
Yeah, bite check!
Go for it.
Bite check!
Sure, for sure.
You know what tradition is? On the
Yeah.
night of his wedding, he gets up and he wants to give it for a tour and they don't let him. Now is your chance. Now is your chance.
Well, I'm discussing with my lawyer.
I think it's a good idea.
Blanche?
May that be your motto throughout.
I never heard you the first time.
Wait, Shelley, you should read what's on the other side.
I agree.
It says additional suggestions for future research.
I just want to say a couple words. I want to thank Lance and Aaron for raising such a lovely son as Gussie, who imparted all his goodness that he learned from his parents onto Sandy.
Thank you so much.
I would like to
I can
say,
take any of that to
You already talked. You can't talk again. You want me to say some words?
Yes, that would be nice.
Say
Forgive me. I'm
where's Michelle?
I can't sit.
Nutrition information first service. Well, I've got a slightest idea what to say.
That is really dangerous, folks.
You're right.
He's heavily medicated now, too. So watch out.
This will probably turn out not to be good because it's all gonna be serious. I just like to, I don't know, just like thank everybody for coming here tonight. And this is like really been like a really happy experience for me. I'm sure for Michelle also. And she'll let you know how she feels because she's going to speak in a couple of minutes also. And a lot of people here came like from really far away.
And far out, like you.
And far out, right?
I came from Francisco.
You came from Francisco, right? And Kevin Appleton came all the way from Texas, and Uncle Manny and Moxie came from phone from the other side of town. I don't know where you people
We
live.
live on Francisco too.
They came from Francisco,
On the other side of
also
town.
out of town. Where do you live?
I live on Glenwood.
Glenwood, that's out of town also. Michael came all the way down from Florida. Fred came from DC. Michelle came from Tennessee. And the two hillbillies that are with her came from Alabama. My parents, they've always been here. Sanford came from I don't know what planet. And maybe on a clear day you can see it. It's a 4-star past Mercury that way, okay? Hey, oh, really? Definitely, right?
Are you gonna start collecting green cards from the corners now?
That's her job. That's not my job. I don't like to do that, right? But this has been like a really nice evening for me, and I don't know. Oh, and also, what's his name came from out of town? Ferris came from also from New York. That's Eric's little pet.
Ferris.
Right,
Bring the
Ferris. Bring the Ferris for dessert, right?
Camera. Maybe he'll say something.
Okay. And
And your mother worked like a ferret for you.
I took the table.
When I was doing it,
No.
well, I wasn't going to the thing. It said Arctic, green light was on.
You guys should sign up with the Cubs, they need you.
Yeah. The Cubs.
Yeah.
We're gonna play with Colts.
what about the Bears, man?
No one's perfect except the Bears.
Yeah, how about the Jets? Yeah.
You're scaring the poor little thing.
Wow.
We'll
We'll see.
We'll see Monday night.
She's a Jets. Well, the Bears.
When you're a jet on the way for your first cigarette, tell you that's how you do. When, I'll shut up.
Speaking of which,
Where'd you
isn't that
get
going to
that?
be on TV soon?
What's
They have green cards in order to work.
Someone who comes from outside the United States in order to work to use a green card.
Oh, green card.
So all the foreigners out of Chicago have to produce their green cards.
And this one is a Laura immigration rule. If you need a green card, I give you your phone number. She gives you a good discount.
Oh.
Okay?
Green card.
Yeah. Oh, well, they don't pay for those green cards. Oh, boy.
What?
Sandy, this has been said before to Sandy, but I'll say it to you.
Clever lawyer.
It looks so nice on you. When you gonna have one of those maybe by yourself? Or
Well, now everybody can say that to you, shall we?
After I get my PhD.
Oh, yeah, can she
no one saw me
survive?
holding
I have a translation of
Yeah,
that.
I don't
I
think
can't.
I'll
You think you'll still have the strength
I don't
after he
know.
gets his PhD to do all this?
You know what a PhD really stands for?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Paperhanger.
Wait, I'll tell you a true story about degrees. Uncle Aaron, this is a great, you love this. A couple of Shabbases ago, I was at a friend's house, and there's this really funny guy there. His name is Steve Rosenthal. He's ridiculously funny, like Shelley. And so there's a guy, there's an MD PhD. So right away we launch into this crazy shtick, a doctor, a dentist, a doctor with a PhD. And so this guy Steve is telling me the story about this shul in Minneapolis, in St. Paul, that I'm sure Phil and Dory knows, called Temple of Aaron. And it's a really big conservative shul, and they got lots and lots of money. Yeah, right, you want in on this joke too. And his brother-in-law is on the board of directors of this shul. And he's telling me his brother-in-law is looking for people with degrees. And I said, what kind of degrees? He says, like doctors, MDs, PhDs. He says, no, EHG degrees. I said, EHG? He says, what's that? Erhard Gelfen.
Okay, throw it in. Okay. I win. I got 4. That's it. The end of the game. No more. Now we start a new game. Now we got to start a new game. Okay? Take the red ones. Take the red ones. No, we got to close it now. Take the red ones. Go ahead. Take the red one. Okay. Okay. Wait. No, now it's my turn. Uncle Joe got to play. Okay, go ahead. Your turn. Okay. Yeah, you're playing. Okay, with Uncle Joe. Go ahead. Playing with Uncle Joe. Call his mommy. You playing with Uncle... Wait a minute. Hold a minute. Hold on.
The black one.
Yeah, then throw the red one in now. Come on. Get a red one in there. Hurry up. Nah, you don't do so. Here, I win the game. 4. See, 4. That's now we get another game. Oh, wait. Okay. Hold on, wait a minute, hold on. Okay. Okay, there. Throw red one in there, come on. Throw red one in. Okay. No, you gotta throw it in, you're all through. That's it. I win the game again, come on. Come on, you got it 4 straight, buddy. Okay, start again. Okay, I'm next. Throw the red one in, go ahead. That's it, you're a smart boy, you know that, you're a smart boy? Hold on. Okay, no, go play over there. Okay. Okay, come on. No, no monkey around, throw a red one in someplace. No, not a black one, no, hold it. Hold it, no, wait a minute. Wait till I get the black one on.
Oh, sure. You're cheating.
Wait a minute, hold her up.
You're cheating. You are cheating.
Okay, now go ahead. He was using my back. Look at how you do. Wait a minute, hold on. I can see you got a okay. Good red one. Oh, you got it there? Okay, I got it there. Okay, let's go.
You don't know what you're doing is putting it in.
Don't worry about it. Easy left. Easy left.
You're so cute.
Hold it. No, you only got 3. Okay, that's it. Okay, now they gotta play. You wanna play with the girls?
Okay. Can we play, Aaron? I mean, me and guys.
He is darling.
Can I play?
Karen, thank you for playing with me. Thank you. Let the girls play. Okay, you wanna let the girls play now? Yeah. You're tired. You did a good job. Let me shake hands. Shake hands with Uncle Joe. Come on. Shake hands with Uncle Joe. Come on. That's it. What, you want to watch? Okay, watch. Watch.
Remember to get our faces in.
We'll have to look this way.
Remember to look on my face and get my rose.
You'll have to hold it up.
Get my winning rose in.
Karen, did you take your pill?
Yeah.
Good.
Get my winning rose in.
Okay.
Shut up. He's taping all the words. You got the words too? Only a little lip. See, that's what I said to you. Shoot a bubble. I'm a cancer. Get these winning rolls. You dare go there? Okay, get our second game.
I'll be right
Watch
back.
my winning rose again. Did you get that in perfectly? I hope so. I want you to get this in and watch this every single day at 4 o'clock. No! TV!
Aaron, turn around. Say hello.
Yes, too. Hope you got my face. Get these deals! I won! Yeah! Mazel tov, oh my God. Go, Poopa face!